Hey guys, welcome to Module 6, and we're going to be covering basically construction document annotation. Architectural annotation is probably the most important thing when you're trying to describe what you're designing. So annotations come in many forms: text, dimension, and symbolic. So for the most part, what I have here open is Parthenia, but just really the first floor. And if you click on the Annotate tab on Revit, here are many ways that Revit will allow you to annotate on a drawing. The first portion of it is basically dimensions and kind of elevation, spot elevations, which we'll cover later. The second is just kind of additional two-dimensional graphics that we want to overlay. So for instance, let's say I want to put an emphasis on this area and say this is a special living room. I could simply annotate, or create a kind of a special texture, let's say a diagonal crosshatch, and of course there's nothing. Oh, there it is. And then, so I'm annotating a texture over my design to kind of bring to attention, right? So we call that a hatch. It's an old, I believe, AutoCAD term, or actually, I just called it a hatch because I come from the AutoCAD world, but Revit calls that a fill region. So you're going to fill an area with some sort of a two-dimensional graphics. And then there's revision cloud, annotation, detail group, which we're not really going to get into much. And insulation is exactly that, insulation within a wall. And they have a special tool for that you can draw in Revit. The third tab is the text annotation, is what I'm going to cover right now. But slowly I'll go through all of the tabs. And then the fourth tag here, these are tags. It's like putting a label on something. When you go to a supermarket or a clothing store and you buy a shirt and it has a little tag sticking on it which tells you the price, the model number, and et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of a tag, and we do the same thing. We could tag this piece of symbol. I'm going to call it symbol for you. For those of you guys, you'll see a two-seat sofa, but it's really, these are a classic example of a symbol. The sofa can look like many different shapes and size. We're simply saying when you see this symbolism or symbol, I just simply mean it's a sofa. But you could tag it and say the sofa is a black color. It is 5 feet wide, 30 inches deep. So that is a tag. And then of course you can tag rooms and things like that, but it's essentially the same concept. Keynote annotation, which we'll go through others, and then I'm going to skip all of these. So let's first just cover text annotation. So if you click on text here, you'll see that my screen changed. And you basically have these types of different text tools that you can use. So the first one is simply a text. So you just click here and you click and drag and just a text. So it's a text and you can just kind of drag it around, right? So that's one. If you go to the text tool, you could also choose a text with a leader. This is probably preferable because this other option just gives you a leader that you can't bend. So in our studio, this is probably the one that we use the most. And this is where the leader will end up. So I'm probably going to use this one where if its leader is on the left, it's going to start from the top. If leader is on the right, it's also going to start from the top. So then the way how you place this particular text is you click, 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 and say sofa, right? So that is a text annotation with a leader. Now what's cool is I believe if I move these things, so these are movable, these little leader symbols. This one you can use. It's a little bit more stylized, but it has kind of an arc. arc LED. So you have an arc. Then let me see, what else do I want to share with you. That's about it. And then these are pretty self-explanatory in terms of how you want to align your text and things like that. I'm going to let you explore those at your own time. I won't bore you with that as part of this demo. So let's get into the additional kind of tools for text annotation. What's really cool, or what's really fantastic about Revit is in architecture, oftentimes you want to write everything in capital letters. It's just kind of a professional industry standard, I guess. And you can see here I wrote just the text all in lowercase. Well, instead of having to retype the whole thing, you could simply click into it, and then you could hit this button, which will make it all cap. Super nice. Trust me, it saves a ton of time. Another tool is, let's say you wanted a leader. So when you select this, you'll see that my little toolbar changes. So I could say I want to add a leader, and I create it. And then I could also add another leader. So I can point to all the sofas in just a single text. Of course, I could also add a leader from this side, right? Okay, so these are additional leaders that you could add. And same thing, you could also take away a leader if you like. So Revit gives you an incredible amount of flexibility on how to create text annotation. This is 7 minutes in. I'm going to try to keep all of these under 10 minutes. So let me show you one more thing. So when you go to text, you'll see here it says text 1/4 inch Arial. So let's go into there and let's go to edit type and let's see. So when I pick text 1/4 inch Arial, it means that it will be black and it'll be opaque, meaning the text, there's a invisible white box in the back. That way when you have other drawings, the text actually stands out. I'll show you what that means soon. You could actually show a border, meaning I'll put a box around the text. And this is a leader and the type of arrow. Actually, I like filled arrows, and you're going to see that's going to look a little different. And then this is my font and my text size. So let's say I wanted to create one that was like an orange color text, but I didn't want to change this guy. So I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to say 1/4 inch Arial orange. And I just simply have to change my color to orange, and arrow is a 30-degree filled. So I'm going to say OK. So now when I create a text, it's going to be 30-degree, 1/4 inch orange text. So that's just one way of customizing it. I could simply select that and say, you know what, I want my original 1/4 inch Arial, and that'll be that. Or if that text is too large, I'm going to say I want 3/32 Arial. And typically for a floor plan, and you are creating text annotation, and it's going to be shown on a 1/4 inch per foot, your standard text size will be 3/32. Now, whatever text you choose, whatever font you choose, that doesn't really matter. But my recommendation is to make sure that you have your text at 3/32 inch Arial. And let me change this arrow really quickly to a filled arrow, because I think the open arrow looks kind of not so great. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say I wanted a fill 30-degree arrow, and there you go. All right, so that was a quick description of text annotation and dimensional annotation next.